Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bring this committee meeting for Aprn together, and we'll start. And I have an opening script that I need to read for our meeting. Good afternoon. I am Patsy Zeller, and I serve as a chair for the Aprn committee of the Kansas State Board of Nursing. I ask the members of the Aprn committee to respond to a roll call to signify their presence at the open meeting that is being held by Zoom and YouTube. Melissa Orpeza.
Here, sorry.
Jade Ramsdale.
Present.
Jamie Harrington. Don Gosnell. Benjamin Cochran.
Present.
Josie Bell.
Present.
Shannon Gregg.
Here.
I see Jamie Harrington sent a note, said she thinks she's on the public link. Okay. There she is. Jamie, are you with us?
Yes, sorry about that. I think I jumped on the wrong link.
That's okay. We found you. Thank you. I also asked for the following board staff members to signify their attendance. Carol Moreland, Executive Administrator.
Present.
Jill Simmons, Executive Assistant.
Present.
Public comment allows individuals to address the Aprn committee about their concerns, but the Kansas Open Meetings Act, COMA, does not require the Aprn committee to provide public comment or answer questions from individuals. Public comment will not be taken today because there is a possibility that the connection for this remote meeting may be lost over time, and the time for the meeting may not allow everyone who is present to comment. Additionally, we will not know what comments an individual may make, and we would want to provide notice to the public of our intent to discuss a particular matter so that the public may listen and observe our discussion. Because we are conducting this public meeting remotely by Zoom and YouTube, I state for the record the following information. On March 14th, 2022, the board sent notice of the meeting for the Aprn committee to all individuals who have requested notice for the committee's meetings. Additionally, the notice and agenda were posted on the board's website, ksbn.kansas.gov, and you may obtain a copy of the notice and agenda at that website or by sending an email to carolmoreland@ks.gov with the subject line, request for the agenda, and the board staff will send it to you. The notice contains the internet links to access the meeting by Zoom and YouTube. The notice also contains the Zoom telephone number to attend the meeting by telephone call. Each of these electronic mediums allow the public to attend this meeting free of charge, and the notice also advises individuals to contact the board's office at 785-296-2967 if they experience any technical issues during the meeting. The only mediums for interactive communication offered for this meeting are the connections by Zoom and YouTube, as previously stated. Each member of the committee, board staff, or presenter shall state the person's name and the title each time the person speaks or votes, as the case may be. Each participant to this meeting shall ensure microphones, phones, or other electronic devices are on mute when the participant is not speaking. Each motion will be clearly stated before the committee votes, and the chair will announce the results of the final vote. A statement or motion will clearly identify and authorize by delegation each member of the committee or staff who will be permitted to sign any document on behalf of the committee. The meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be posted on the board's website. The committee has the following items listed on the agenda. Call to order, review of on-site packet, additions or revisions to the agenda, announcements, approval of minutes for the meeting held in December 2021, unfinished business, new business, agenda for the committee meeting in June 2022, and adjournment. Although the agenda does not include an executive session, if the committee elects to exercise the option to go into executive session, the committee will follow this process. First, the committee must be in an open session before going into an executive session. Then a motion will be made and seconded pursuant of KSA 75-4319B. The motion must contain the statement of justification for closure, the subject or subjects to be discussed, and the time and place of the open meeting will resume. If a motion for executive session passes, public will be excluded from this portion of the meeting, and the executive session will be conducted by electronic means that will not be made available to the public. The committee members will return to the open meeting after the executive session. The open meeting will resume when the committee members return to the Zoom and YouTube meeting after the executive session. The complete motion for the executive session will be recorded in the minutes. The meeting is now called to order, and the committee will now consider the next item on the agenda. The next thing on the agenda is review of on-site packet. I didn't know that there was one. Is there one, Carol?
No, there's not one.
Okay. Additions or revisions to the agenda. Do we have anything we need to add or change?
Madam Chair, this is Carol Moreland, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, what about any announcements? Nope, we're doing really good here. Approval of minutes. Approval of the minutes for December 14th, 2021. Did you have a chance to look at those? And if you did anyone see any corrections, misspellings, or anything we need to fix? If not, then Jill, I think you have a motion for us, correct?
I do. Is there a committee member who would like to make the following motion? I move to approve the minutes from the December 14, 2021 Aprn committee meeting as written.
This is Ben Cochran. I'll make that motion.
I can second. This is Jamie Harrington.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Hearing none, that motion carries.
Okay, Madam President, I do see that Don Gosnell is now online with us.
Welcome, Don.
Glad to be with you.
Jill, just interrupt me if I miss a motion. Are we doing okay so far?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Then we're next to unfinished business, prescription monitoring program, P&P committee report. Shannon? I see Shannon's on the Zoom. Shannon, can you hear us? Well, if it's okay with everyone, I see her on there. She did say she was present, so I'm going to move to the next one, then we'll come back to Shannon in just a minute here. Senate substitute for House Bill number 2279, Amy.
Yeah,
Any reason?
Amy, this is Carol Moreland. Amy needs just to be brought across Colton. She did put in the chat that she's out there, and just kind of let everybody know, this is the Aprn legislation. This is kind of how it is, I believe right now, is the Senate substitute for the House Bill 2279. And I did put a copy of that in your packet. I can't promise this is the last one because, you know, the packets get made a little while, so Amy can probably maybe talk to that more. But I was just telling him, Amy, that what I have in their packet is Senate substitute for House Bill 2279. I'm not sure if that's where it's at right now, but that's what's in there.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address the board, Madam Chair and committee members. Senate substitute for House Bill 2279 passed the Senate with strong bipartisan support, 30-7 with 1 abstention. Our bill was then moved over to the House side. There was a motion to non-concur. This moved our bill into conference committee. We actually had strong bipartisan support in this conference committee as well. However, they were not able to reach consensus concerning our matter. So now at this point, there is still a pathway forward for this bill. And we are still hopeful that House Bill 2279 will pass yet this session, which will remove collaborative practice agreements and allow APRNs to practice to the full extent of their license and certification, improving access to care for Kansas. There is just support just across our state, from the business community to our seniors with AARP. It's really moving. Americans for Prosperity, the Chamber, lots of support for this bill. So at this point, we're still waiting to see if there's a pathway forward. We are still very hopeful. We want to thank KSBN, and we are thrilled for the opportunity to continue to be regulated solely by you. We understand that if our bill passes, there will be more work for you. There will be new processes that need to be put into place, and we're here to provide any support as you might need us. And if passed, House Bill 2279 would not go into effect until July 1st of 2023. And I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions from the group for Amy? She just described a ton of work across the street, didn't she? Yes, that's been a lot of work. Appreciate your help with the information there. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Amy, for that. Shannon, I saw you click your button off of mute. Are you there on the screen now that you can give us a report? I guess not. Let's move on to C&M-I regulations.
Madam Chair, this is Carol Moreland, and this is a topic that we leave on here every time and just kind of go back and revisit it. And I will just tell you what I know, and then Jamie may have something that she wants to add here. She may know a little bit, but I checked with the Board of Healing Arts, as I do before all of our meetings, to just see if there's been any update. And I didn't hear anything until this morning. So it appears, they've had a changeover in staff at the Board of Healing Arts. So there's yet another person now handling this. It's Courtney, which is their general counsel. So what she's basically telling me is there's no new proposed regulations that we have evidently not seen. They're still trying to get some of them that the Board of Nursing agreed with quite some time ago through the process. And I will say it takes a while to get it through here. But it sounds like they have 3 of them triple stamped, which is good. And they have a public hearing scheduled June 8th. And they're waiting to be scheduled at the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and Regs. So that's kind of the process, right? Actually, I guess there's 4. I'm sorry, there's 4 that are in that process. I will just throw out here, the last time that they took some to the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and Regs, there was a lot of discussion over there among the committee members as to why the Board of Nursing was not over there for this hearing, since we're supposed to be doing this together. And just as a reminder, we knew nothing about it. So it'll be interesting to see if anything happens with that this time. I may try to watch the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and Regs agendas closely and see when these are on there. But that's kind of what I know. I don't think they've done, what I'm taking from the email is they've done nothing more on the other regulations that we could not agree on. I don't know, Jamie, have they had any meetings or can you add to this?
Yeah, I would agree with Carol, what you said. We met on January 20th and there were Courtney Seisman was the new counsel that has kind of taken over that. And there were quite a few regulations that were rejected by the AG's office. And so we were kind of going back to address those and some of the language and no, there wasn't really a clear answer as to why some of those were rejected. So I think Courtney was going to take those back and determine if she could find an exact reason for that. What I do know basically is that we discussed some of the pharmacy, the CNMIs are having some issues with pharmacists filling prescriptions. They're still requesting a collaborative practice physician, and particularly big stores like Walmart can't bypass their system because their computers are asking for a collaborative physician. So I don't know if that may come up if the Aprn legislation passes, where we may have to address that. But they were going to send a note through the Board of Pharmacy to kind of help clarify those regulations. And then in 2021, only 9 CNMI licenses were issued out of, I think we have a little over 100 CNMs in Kansas. And in 2022, there's 0. So that just kind of speaks to the mess that these regulations have created.
Thank you for that report. I misspoke earlier, CNMI, not one. I read my paper incorrectly. So independent practice, there you go. Thanks for that report, Jamie. Anything else, anyone, any other questions? Okay, Shannon, I'll try one more time. Shannon Gregg, I see you're on the Zoom meeting. Are you so you can talk to us with a report? There you are.
Hi, sorry, I was having some technical difficulties there.
That's okay. We've struggled a little bit today too. I have you down here for a prescription monitoring program, a report. Can you help us with that?
Yes, so I sit on the committee and I wasn't able to attend the last meeting with them, but I was given some news that the KTRAX bill 200, Senate Bill 200, regarding the pharmacist scope of practice was in conference committee yesterday. So they said that, which means that upon the conference committee report, adoption by both chambers, the bill will pass finally. So the KTRAX bill will be passed is about the only news that I have.
Thanks for that.
Absolutely. Sorry about that technical difficulties.
No problem. No problem at all. Okay, any other questions before we move on to new business? Carol, I have the first thing under there is report on Aprn program approved for licensure.
Right, Madam Chair, this is Carol Moreland. And on page 25 in your packet is a rather long list of advanced practice programs. You know, sometimes we go and we don't see very many new ones that we haven't looked at before. And then there's other times that it seems like that's all we see is new ones. So all of these do meet our requirements. I see one typo here under Endicott College. It should be FNP, not FNO. Sorry about that. So they all do meet our requirements. So I don't know if you have any questions or.
We have certain checklists that we go through that you work through before you bring that report, correct? So.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jill, do you have a motion for that?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I had one question. When I
Sure.
was looking at it, it might be a typo, but one says DNAP.
Which one
And
is it?
Sorry.
It's the nurse anesthesia, the
Oh, is that-
Rush
okay.
University.
And they're called DNAPs.
Yeah. So I think
Oh.
that one's correct. Yeah.
More for my education. Thank you.
No, that's fine.
And
Sorry, any other questions?
there is one too that says FNO. I don't know if that's a typo as well.
Yeah, it is. I
Okay.
think, yeah, at Endicott College. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam President, there won't be a motion. This is just more the report that Carol is presenting
Okay.
to us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay, Carol, I'm going to lean on you one more time for not several more times, it looks like, for a 5-year legislative review.
Okay, just as a reminder to the committee members, all of our statutes and regulations, we have them on a 5-year schedule for them to be reviewed. And during that review, basically, it's just, is this one still applicable versus like revoking it? Have there been significant changes that we need to make? Does anything need to be done with this? And we always put these on the agenda in March, but you actually have the whole year to do this. And I just throw that out there because 8 of these listed here will have to be revised if the Aprn legislation goes through. So, I mean, you can approve them today the way they are, but if the legislation goes through, 8 of them are going to be revised because they have to, because they either talk about collaborative agreement, they don't address the requirement for national certification or the requirement for malpractice insurance. So it's up to you all whether you want to go through and revise these or approve these, or if you just want to wait. I mean, in June, we would know whether the legislation has went through because the legislature is done in May, hopefully. Yeah. So it's up to you what you want to do here, but
So do we
I'll
need
just
to-
kind of go through and let you know, 651130, that's a statute. That's the one that's in the bill. Okay, so that one will be amended. And then 651131, 651132, and 651133, I don't believe, just looking through them fast, I don't believe those are going to have to be revised. But again, I'm just looking at what the bill looks like right now. So just kind of be aware of that. Then we get into the regulations. 6011-101 would need revised. 6011-102, the roles would not need revised. That's the one that just talks about the 4 different roles. That one's pretty short. 60-11-103, the educational requirements would need to be revised. 60-11-104, functions would need to be revised. 60-11-104A, protocols requirements would need to be revised. Again, most of these talk about collaborative agreement. 60-11-105, functions of the nurse midwife, functions of the nurse and I can't say that, anesthesia, and functions of the clinical nurse specialist. Well, the CRNA does not need revised. However, the nurse midwife, the clinical nurse specialist would need to be revised. And I believe the biggest reason there is that, again, it talks about they have to practice under a collaborative agreement. So that's going to be the big one. The one on license renewal, that mostly just talks about C&E. And that's not going to change, I don't believe. Temporary permit to practice would need to be revised because, again, to do a temporary permit, we would have to have proof of national certification and malpractice, which we do not now. The expiration dates, the licenses and applications, that one should be okay. And the exempt license, I believe would be okay. Again, these are what the bill looks like right now. So that's all I'm saying. So you can do whatever you want. It's up to you all, but some of them will need revised if that legislation goes through.
So what would be the suggestion to pick out those ones that you didn't think were going to be bothered and go ahead and do those today? Or should we wait and do this whole bunch in June? What does the group want to do?
This has been Cochran. I would suggest just tabling until June because then we'll have a better idea of what we need to do.
Okay,
This is Dawn Boswell. I agree.
This is Melissa Arpaez. I agree to defer until June.
okay. Okay, then I guess we'll move on with that. Might be keeping an eye on those, and so we can there'll be some work when we revise them, though. There'll be some people that will have to help put some new wording in there. That takes a little bit. Okay, then I guess we're looking at the agenda for June. I guess we know one thing is the 5-year legislative review list, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Anything else besides our standard reports, Carol?
Not that I know of. Probably an update on the Aprn legislation, because again, we'll know something definitely by then. And then just, yeah, an update on the CNMI regulations. I don't know of anything other than that. Yeah.
Madam Chair, do you know, is there a plan to keep the National Council of State Board of Nursing, I think it's Nicole Lavanos, involved at all if that does pass, to kind of help with the Aprn regulation language?
I don't have the answer to that, but Carol might.
I think she can help. Some things get a little unique to Kansas, which she may not know. But yeah, I mean, all the people that want to help can help with them. I will just tell you the process is rather long. We draft them, and then they have to go and be approved by the committee, be approved by the board. And then the way the process is right now, there's legislation trying to change this process too. So I'm not sure what it's going to end up looking like. But right now we have to do an economic impact statement and send that and the proposed regulations to the Division of Budget first. Now, we never have any problems with Division of Budget because ours never, they're not big amounts, and we don't get anything out of state general fund. Everything's out of our fee fund. So I wouldn't anticipate there would be any problems with Department or Division of Budget. Then it goes over to Department of Administration, and that's where you get into the grammar. And that can slow down a lot, because what's also looked at is what the regulation looks like now, and does any of the language that's in there now need to just be updated. And then the new language is also put in there, and it has to be in a format that she approves and all of that. That I will just tell you that typically goes back and forth a few times before it's right. And then if it gets double stamped, I mean, it would be stamped from the Division of Budget, it would be stamped from the Department of Administration. Then it goes to the Attorney General's office, and they actually look at like the legality of what we're wanting to do. So that's when they go back to the statutes and do we have authority to do what we're putting in regulations. And again, there can be things that they see being a problem, and we have to change those. If that occurs, any point where a change occurs, you have to start over at the beginning. Okay, that's why this can take a little while. And if it gets stamped by the Attorney General, and we have three stamps, then they have to be published in the Kansas Register, and we have to set a public hearing out that's more than 60 days from that date. We have to give a 60-day public comment. And we have to publish that in the Kansas Register. We have to put it on our website so that anyone can provide comments on it. For, against, whatever, they can provide comments. And during that 60 day is also when then I have to go over to the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and Regs and present all of these revisions. when it's a revision that's made because of a statute change, I think it typically goes a little bit better than just kind of something that they think that we've dreamed up maybe. So that might go a little bit better. And they can provide comments too. And then we have the public hearing. And again, that's just it. It's public. We're usually located someplace for about an hour and a half, and they can come, anybody can come. They can join by conference call. They can tell us any comment they want to about them. It's not we don't defend them. We don't answer questions. We receive their comments. And then all the comments that we've received go to the board for the board to review, and the board sees the proposed revisions one more time. And then the board looks at the proposed revisions and all the comments, and do they want to adopt them or do they want to change them in any way? If they change them in any way, you start all over again. So I just want you to kind of be aware. It's not going to happen overnight, okay? But I think it's one of the more frustrating processes in the state government, but we will certainly work on it. A lot of them, some of the changes are just taking up a collaborative agreement, and some of that. So I hope that's been helpful for you to kind of see, but definitely this committee would be involved, okay? Because it usually starts out of whatever committee oversees it. Like if it's education, it starts out of the education committee. If it's discipline, it starts out of the investigative. So with it being Aprn, it would definitely start out of this committee. Once you all approved the language the way that you wanted it, then it would go to the board for them to approve before it starts through the process. Does that answer your questions?
Yes.
Provide a little bit of light.
Yeah, this is Patsy. We worked on some with the Education Committee, and it was almost 3 years to the date. Now, some of that was during COVID, and that hit some bumps, but it went back and forth several times. And you have to go to your happy place to get this done, but it is possible. And Carol's really good about it. I mean, she's working day and night, keeping them on the move for us.
Yeah, and just kind of to let you know, when there's an implementation date of a statute, like you just talked about, that's, that date stays to the forefront. So everyone involved in this understands that there is a kind of a drop dead date here that these need to be done. So sometimes that does help the process a little bit. But, they do get kind of inundated when the legislative session ends and everybody is doing regulation changes because of the statutes that changed.
Now, any other questions for Carol? Okay, thanks, Carol, for that. Anything else we need to put on the agenda for June? If not, then I think we're ready to adjourn. Thanks for your help today. And we'll be in touch. Thank you.